I want to ask you about Justice Roberts' comments today. It's unusual for Justice Roberts to get involved in political discussions, but this talk about impeachment caused him to feel that he had to say something. Tell me a little bit more about this.
Ali, the President of the United States has essentially declared war on the rule of law in America. And in the past few weeks, as you explained, the President himself has led a full frontal assault on the Constitution, the rule of law, the federal judiciary, the American justice system, and the nation's legal profession. When the President of the United States wages a war on the rule of law and the federal judiciary, Ali, America is in a constitutional crisis. The constitutional role of the president is to faithfully execute the laws. Needless to say, the president is doing anything but that at the moment. Most constitutional scholars have long agreed that a constitutional crisis exists, at least when the president defies a court order. That's essentially what the president is doing today and what it appears he intends to do in the future. This is very intentional, very deliberate by the president. As you know, he, the vice president, and Elon Musk have been taunting the federal courts for months now, suggesting that the president would soon defy the federal courts. Elon Musk, I recall, called for an immediate wave of judicial impeachments, not just one, against all judges who issue orders blocking the power of the executive branch to unilaterally overhaul the government. The president obviously believes that the federal courts are just one more of federal government institutions that has been weaponized by partisan actors, in his words. He believes, apparently, that he was elected to rid the nation of these weaponized partisan actors. Now, as of today, we know that all of this taunting and intimidation was toward the end of provoking this constitutional crisis today.
Let me ask you, what happens when Donald Trump actually defies a federal judge or a federal court order? Putting aside the impeachment thing, impeachment exists for a reason. It's been used very rarely for judges, but it's actually about misconduct usually. It's not about whether you agree with what a judge rules. But what happens when Donald Trump says, I'm not participating in this process. I'm not doing this. I'm not providing the documents you need. I'm not undoing whatever it is the court just told me to undo?
Well, the first thing to understand, Ali, is that no president in the United States, in the country's almost 250-year history, has defied a federal court order. To my knowledge, every president has followed the process for appealing a judicial order, the process that the Chief Justice referenced in his statement today. What happens? We don't know what happens. But if this president defies a federal court order, the country will be in a constitutional crisis. How does that crisis end? We don't know, Ali, because it's never happened before. As your viewers understand, the courts are considered the least powerful branch because they control neither the purse nor the sword, and they have no effective means to enforce their orders other than by judgments of contempt that theoretically, but theoretically only, can be enforced by the marshals, of the court. So as a practical matter, if the President of the United States defies even a Supreme Court order, there is nothing that the Supreme Court itself could do. And this has been a very tempting thing for this president ever since his first term. As we all know, he was immensely critical of the federal and state judiciaries throughout his first term. And then, of course, during the last 4 years when he was out of power, he was accusing the federal and state judiciaries and even individual judges of both courts of being corrupt and biased and what have you. Never before has an American president even thought to utter one single one of the words against the federal judiciary that this president has uttered every day since he came on the public scene.
Judge, there are judges appointed. I mean, we've been judges who have opined on this administration and what it's been doing in court and outside of court, who have been appointed from Ronald Reagan all the way to the current president. There does not seem to be a partisan split amongst conservative judges or liberal judges. Everybody seems to think that the president and this administration should follow the rule of law, and that they don't seem to be doing that. This doesn't seem to be falling along partisan lines as far as the judiciary goes.
This is not a partisan or political issue, Ali. This is literally a question of law and of constitutional law, and specifically whether the President of the United States of America must abide by the law just like everyone else. Ali, I know personally that the federal judiciary is shaken by these recent attacks by the President of the United States. But I also know that they are unshaken in their resolve to honor their oath to the Constitution. It's the president who has wanted this war ever since his first term in office. Well, he's going to get what he wanted. Of course, he cannot win this war. The point is, what on earth is a president of the United States of America doing, waging war against the rule of law in America and the federal judiciary? Unless he beats an immediate retreat, Ali, he will be a lame duck long, or worse, even before his political honeymoon comes to an end.
Well, from your lips to the American people's ears, Judge, good to see you as always. Thank you for being with us tonight, Judge J. Michael Luttig.